Hello, I'm Mark Archibald from First Baptist Church. With me today is Troy Taylor, who also works at First Baptist Church as an associate pastor. And I'm talking to Troy today because I've been asking people to share experiences from 2020 that they are grateful for. And I'm not asking people to make up experiences and try to put a smiley face on something that's really difficult. I'm asking for genuine experiences of gratitude. So from the year 2020, Troy, what is something that you have come to be very grateful for?
To be honest, I think that the thing that 2020 has shown me and has given to me is a realization of how big and faithful the family of God is that I get to be a part of.
All right, well, that's good. And so for those of you who don't know, Troy's mom and dad actually had COVID-19. I know for some of us, COVID-19 is still a mysterious thing, as we don't know a lot of people that have experienced it. And for others of us, we've seen people, we've had a front row seat to people that have COVID-19. And we also know that every experience seems to be different with that. So Troy, can you take us through a timeline of what happened with your mom in terms of contacting COVID-19?
Sure. So on November 25th, I found out that both of my parents had tested positive for COVID-19. And that despite taking every precaution that had been recommended by public health orders. So on that day, I sent a text to my close circle of friends to ask for prayer. A couple of days later, I called my folks and I talked to mom. She was feeling very discouraged, and while dad was feeling okay, mom was starting to go downhill. So I told her that during my own prayer time, I felt God speaking out of the Gospel of John, where he says, "This sickness will not end in death." So I tried to encourage her with that. The next day, on November 28th, dad took mom to the hospital with delirium. So because he'd also been COVID positive, he wasn't allowed to go into the hospital with her. And this caused my mom a great deal of anxiety. She was unable to comprehend the medical jargon and all of the procedures that she was being put through. She just understood that her husband, who always helps her navigate the medical system, was unable to be with her, and she gets admitted into the hospital. Then the next day, November 29th, the doctors want to transfer mom to a larger hospital in order to be put on a ventilator because her oxygen levels are really quite low. And those low oxygen levels are the source of her delirium. And there's just no way, though, that she's going to be able to tolerate the ambulance or the unfamiliar hospital or the separation from dad. So they make the decision to keep mom in the local hospital, but it's a gamble because they don't have the necessary equipment there to treat what she had and what she needed. On November 30th, mom has a very bad night, and the doctors don't have a whole lot of hope. I receive a phone call that says it's time for me to come home and possibly to say goodbye. I notify my prayer friends and I start the drive home. Now, this is also when I start to find out exactly how far and wide the call to prayer has gone. People in Edmonton, Calgary, Vancouver, Abbotsford, the East Coast, Arizona, Cuba, and all manner of places in between are taking time out of their own lives in order to pray for my family. A group of inmates from Lethbridge Correction Center are interceding. Our church is interceding. And I'm absolutely floored by the generosity and favor of God. He feels like a very real presence with me as I drive home, and I feel the weightiness of God's presence walking with me, pushing away any evil and bringing life. The most emotional that I get in this whole experience is the gratitude for the faithful family of God that has surrounded me, and it's hundreds strong. I feel to my bones that I'm a blessed man. God keeps reminding me that this sickness won't end in death. And even so, I'm preparing myself for my mom to die that week. I have peace, though, that mom won't lose a second of life that God's given to her, and neither will she be able to take one extra second that God has given her, or that God has not given her. And all of this, even if she should die, she merely closes her eyes in one place and opens them in the presence of Jesus, her first love. Now, December 1st, mom's health and cognitive levels continue to ebb and flow, and they do that for the next couple of days, and the doctors remain not optimistic. So we all continue to pray. By December 3rd, mom's oxygen levels have rebounded. Her mind has cleared significantly. And even though she gets tired very easily and she still can't taste anything that she eats, she gets released from the hospital to continue her recovery at home. By December 5th, she has her follow-up appointment with her doctor, and she gets a clear bill of health. Her doctor tells mom that honestly, she did not believe that mom would survive, given the symptoms and the severity of her illness. I believe that a person can either see chance or a person can see the hand of God. And given the people who are praying and pouring out their hearts on behalf of my mom, I'm choosing to see the hand of God.
Well, that is really quite amazing, Troy. Just I think we've heard of people that have overcome and been healed of COVID-19, but not a lot of situations necessarily where it was quite as dire as it was for your mom. And so it's really amazing to hear of God's intervention within that. So going forward then, what do you take from this experience?
I think I take a couple of things. One is the knowledge that God is absolutely sovereign. I know that there are a lot of people who have prayed the same prayers and their loved ones have still passed away. And I know that that's an incredibly hard circumstance to go through, and it's an incredibly hard thing to understand. So I'm grateful for the presence of God that I was able to feel through living in the middle of the question and not knowing what's going to happen out of that. I think that the second thing that I'm taking out of this is how crucially important it is to take the time to develop that Christian family, that Christian community in good times, so that when you go through the question, when your world gets shaken a little bit, you have that group of people to turn to and to depend on, so that when I was completely distracted and simply trying to get home, other people were praying for me. And the results of their prayers were very powerful as I felt God's presence, not just on the drive, but also when I was with my family, when I was speaking with my mom, when I was speaking with the doctors and medical staff, whoever it was that I was speaking with, I really felt that presence. To me, that community and the realization of exactly how far and wide that community stretches was the best Christmas present I could have been given.
Yeah, I think one thing that's significant too, like I know we always need to be building up that community, that family in the good times, but right now I think also presents us with that opportunity as well. For some of us, I think we do have more time than what we had before in terms of following up with those relationships that have maybe fallen by the wayside, or just those chances to pick up the phone and contact someone or send an email. Or we do have those chances now to continue to develop that community that can support us and pray with us and for us as those needs come up. But yeah, I think those are great things to take away from that, Troy. Yeah. So, well, thank you for sharing with us today, Troy, and sharing your really deeply personal experience with COVID-19, and also with how you've been supported in that, how you've had God's presence with you, and also how you've had the family of God supporting you as well. So thank you for sharing that today.
Yeah, and thanks for giving me the opportunity to express my gratitude on this kind of a forum, and as well, I would be remiss if I didn't express the gratitude of my mom, especially for all of the people that she's never met who took the time out to pray for her, and she firmly believes that her recovery is simply an answer to prayer and the power of God on her life. So as a family, we're deeply grateful for the community of God.
That's great.